and Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews where we discuss with both local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what really drives them forward. And this morning I'm delighted to have with us John Conroy, who's the Managing Director at Claremon Ltd. So John, firstly, welcome and thanks for taking the time to speak to us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself and Claremon and let us know how you help people.
Thanks, Chris. Yep, I'm glad to be a part of this. So John Conroy, I run Claremon. We're a print business at our very heart. So we help people with really print marketing, but anything really up to exhibition graphics and the floor graphics that we've seen a lot of over the last 2 years, telling people to keep their distance. Yes. And really, we offer, it's an overused phrase, but an end-to-end solution. So, right from the concept creative, the thought process behind the campaigns, right the way through to delivery, and even popping it in the post for people in by way of fulfillment.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. And how is I hear a lot of people talk about where print is, where it's going, where it's come from. What's your take on the sort of print world?
Well, people often say to me, when times are hard, we're heading into recession. Well, print's been in recession really for 20 years, but for us, it's still a really powerful medium for our customers. And most of our customers. Well, I say a lot of our customers. We've got some going back right through the history of our company and stayed with us 20 years. And, they're investing more and more in print because it's such a tactile media. I think what printers have had to do and what we've had to do is learn how to accept and engage with the other channels, because, there's been a lot of printers saying that, you must print. Well, yes, but you have to understand how that interacts with other campaigns. There's a lot of stats out there on people like Royal Mail that have done a lot of research on how social media campaigns, for example, are made more effective, the increased engagement when they're primed with a print campaign. So we understand that other channels, and you know what, print isn't right for everybody. It's not right for every business. There's a lot of business out there that stick your money behind a Facebook ad, you'll get a much better return. So we're really looking to help those that that absolutely will value from the stuff that we do, because that way they'll stay with us for a long time.
Absolutely, it's really interesting actually, John. I talked to a lot of people obviously about business and marketing, and one thing I've said to many people is that when email first came in, social media first came in, a lot of people moved towards that. But what that meant was for me was that they often moved away from traditional print marketing, but that left a space. And I remember I talked to a friend I spoke to yesterday, and I said to him earlier, the old days of getting sort of 50 pieces of printed media through your letterbox every day, and that sort of fludump that came through, and it was difficult to pick, it was too tiresome to pick through it. Nowadays, people don't get things by mail, and we, in my own business, we use a lot of printed, direct printed mail, because many people aren't. And it was really funny. I spoke to him yesterday, and he just said, he just had back problems, and he's been to see a specialist, and or a local physio, I should say. And he said, you know what, Chris, it came through the post. It came through, and I went, I need one. And it was really interesting. And I really do think things happen in cycles, and it's something I advise a lot of people to at least look at, sort of print-based marketing, because so few people are doing it compared to sort of 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any marketing really is about cutting through the noise, isn't it? Yes. So in social, you've really only got a couple of ways of doing that. So you can do it by being a bit outrageous or being amusing, and videos amazing now for people. But in print, you've got three-dimensional stuff. You've got the way that it feels, the way that it folds. You can do these clever folds. We did a campaign for ourselves, actually, because we were trying to attract estate agents, and we did these Lego houses, and we personalised these little Lego houses, and they were just I mean, talk about 100% engagement rate. Everybody that I sent one to took a call. Yeah, not all of them turned into customers, but they'll certainly remember us for it. And they've got these little things sat on their desk, and it's about just grabbing someone's attention and making it fun as well, because I think ultimately when we're marketing and selling, we're selling to people, aren't we?
Absolutely. We've got to gauge at a very basic level to start with. So bang on. So could you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one?
Yeah, certainly. I'll be happy to. I think to sum it up by accident. Um, so yeah, I started out as in retail. So I worked for Max and Spencer for 10 years and went out to franchise ops and opened some stores out there and did some training with the management teams. And of course, you work in a small business then. It's a smaller business. It was actually owned by Turk Petrol, so it was owned by a massive entity, but it felt like a small business. The dialogues directly with the MD, and I came back to M&S UK and thought, I need to just get out, and it just happened to be print. I looked specifically for a small business. I fancied a sales role because at the time people said, you're a good talker, you'd be good at sales. Of course, you learn a lot more. It's a lot more than that when you get stuck into it. And then I ended up in print. Worked for a small packaging company in Bradford, and one of our biggest customers approached me and said, look, I want to set up my own operation, and I'd like you to be part of it. And that's when Claremon were born in 2002. So we're 21 next year.
Brilliant.
Finally coming of age.
Well, I mean, well done. You're probably aware of the stats, but just to get the 10 years is quite remarkable. I think, unfortunately, but I think it's 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years of operation, and of the 20% that survive, 80% of those fail in the following 5. So to get to 10, you've got to be in the top 4% of successful businesses. So to get to 20, I don't know what the stats are on that, but congratulations. So
thank you very much. Yeah, so sometimes feels like we're bearing the scars, but particularly after the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm unfortunately that's part of life, I guess, in general, but certainly business life.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, was this? I guess this wasn't what you always wanted to do. What was the goal?
Not print, no, but my mum was a small business owner, my dad was a small business owner, and for me, I was always going to be a small business owner. I mean, my mum employed a few people. My dad was primarily just self-employed, but it always felt like that was the way that things should be done. So I think I was always destined to run a small business. Although I think going through my teenage years, I felt I was destined to run a big business, but I've changed my mind about that. So yeah, I mean, but I just didn't know what really. My dad was in the trade. He didn't want me to do that. I had a short dalliance with hairdressing, which was my mum's vocation, but that was too much like hard work, and I wanted to work for my dad on the building site because it was easier. Although print's not been in me, but I love making stuff. We're so privileged to at the end of every week there's a pile of stuff on our desk that we've made and has helped someone achieve their goals. And we print really good quality stuff, and that gives me a huge amount of satisfaction that we've done that. It's a team that we've put together. I think it's really satisfying.
Brilliant, fantastic. And so looking back over the last 20 years, what are some of the biggest learnings you've had in business?
Look after the cash. I learned that primarily in 2020. Do you know what? I think that's. I'm an optimist at heart. So the danger with being an optimist is that everything's going to work, isn't it? That'll be fine. Yeah, we'll take that on. And I think having someone that's a bit more cautious at your side that'll say that's they've got to be. This sounds a bit strange, but they've got to be strong enough to put the reins on someone like me, because I'm so. I think as most business owners are, they're quite headstrong, confident. They want to make decisions. They want to move forward. So you need someone that's sort of cautious enough to be able to say, "Are you sure this is the right thing?" But they've got to be strong enough to say that quite loud. Are you really sure this is the right thing? Just put the reins on. So I think seeking counsel from people that are not like me is probably the biggest lesson I've learned. And my business partner, the former business partner, the guy that started Claremon with in 2002, was very much like that. He was very cautious, accountancy background. Absolutely thought things through to the nth degree. Wasn't afraid to take a risk, but he was much more calculated than I am. And I learned a lot from Thomas about operating a business in that way.
Brilliant. We often find partnerships of 2 and sometimes 3 people work really well, especially when their behaviour profiles are quite different, because they do tend to look at things at different ways, and it's that balance between the 2 that really can find the sort of middle ground of success that, as you say, often we don't always have if we just by ourselves. Now you're probably aware we're a coaching organisation. I'm just wondering. I'm interested to know who the best coach you've ever had, whether that's in business, sports, life, just in general.
Yeah. So, well, I'm with. I think you guys are action coach, aren't you?
Yes.
I'm with Stuart. God, I forgot his name. Stuart Wright. Oh my God. So Stuart Wright, coach.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I know Stuart really well. And he's been phenomenal. But I think within business, I've had some good coaches as well. Thomas, my former business partner, was a good, more probably erring towards mentor than coaching. But yeah, I mean, certainly. And I was always a bit skeptical about getting a formal coach, but for anybody that's considering it, honestly, I'd recommend it. And I think anybody that starts a business should budget in as soon as they possibly can to get some guidance, because the one thing I know for sure is you don't know what the hell you're doing when you first start. You know how to look after your customers and do your, in inverted commas, job, but running a business is a different kettle of fish altogether, in my opinion.
I guess I was bound to agree with that, but if you think about it, we spend lots of time training typically to be able to do the things we do in our business, and yet we spend only limited time training to run a business and grow a business. And so I think what business coaching gives us anyway is that ability to feed into that at the right points. And no, that's great.
Completely agree.
Brilliant. That's really great to hear.
And that was an unpaid ad, by the way. I'm not. We can assure the audience that wasn't plugged by you in any way. But no, I would. And if I could go back to my the start of my career, I would have absolutely sought out a coach.
Brilliant. No, thank you. No, and Stuart's a great coach. I mean, he may have not. You may not have heard, but I actually he was a client of mine before he became a coach. So.
Oh right. Okay.
So yeah, please give my best advice to guys. I haven't seen him for a little while, but no, he's a brilliant guy and a great coach. So
yeah. So did you know him when he had his heating and air handling business, or the food sandwich business?
It was after food and before the air handling. So between food and that, he had a jewelry business. So right. I helped him then. We did pretty good work. He was really determined to grow that quite significantly, and I think we put about 3 times growth in the first year, which was pretty phenomenal to get him really flying.
Fantastic.
So he's always been a great advocate of doing it himself, because he chose to have a coach himself. So I think everything we're talking about is absolutely aligned. So that's really wonderful. So have you picked up any sort of favourite quotes or sayings along the way that you use in good or bad times?
I'm full of them. I love my analogies. So the guys here, I think, are growing a bit tired of them. But what I heard recently, which was when I was talking to somebody about KPIs and the relevance of KPIs, and love them or loathe them, we all have to have them, whether you formalise that process or not. And I think keep the measurables, make the important stuff measurable, not the measurable stuff important, is one of my favourites at the moment.
Brilliant, love it. I'm just processing that. That's fantastic. Yes, we could get waylaid with the idea of measuring things that don't actually matter so much. But yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I've done the same. I've created KPIs because I have the access to the information. And then when you look at them, you think, like, what is this telling me? I mean, it might identify a trend, but it don't. And actually, the thing about KPIs, sorry, we might go off subject to here. The thing about the KPIs that I've learned is that actually they're more important to the team. It's me that wants them and wants to see them. But actually, if you empower the team to understand them and and live by them, and and set goals around them and create conversation, it absolutely helps them understand. Yeah, I'm actually doing the right things here. So it's not to be seen as a stick to beat people with. It genuinely, in my opinion, is a motivational tool. 100% agree, because I do hear that a lot. I'm not sure I should be monitoring, checking up on people. I say, how can they show to you they're doing a great job if they're not? If we don't have measurement, it's the flip of it, isn't it? That our team need KPIs to go, look, I'm doing an amazing job. Other than that, it's just opinion, and opinion, is fluctuating, is variable.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So brilliant. So, and what would you say you've learned about yourself over this journey that you've had?
Well, I'm quite an enthusiastic character, and I think sometimes, although I don't say, I don't want to curb my enthusiasm, as it were, but I think sometimes I've learned a lot that I have to measure my approach according to the other person. So typically, and I'm going perhaps fairly recently as well. This is a fairly recent learning that I would just approach people in the way, and I couldn't understand why they weren't on board, because this is a great concept and this is a great idea and it's gonna work because I've proven that with the numbers and I'm enthusiastic about it. So why are you? Well, of course they're not, because they're a different personality type to me. And it was that book, Surrounded by Idiots. I bought it because I thought I was, but then when I read it, I realized I wasn't. And actually that was so that's probably it. Tempering my approach to the recipient rather than trying to hammer home my own personality type.
Brilliant. No, that's fantastic. It's fantastic. I've had a lot of learnings in my career around that exactly same thing, and just like, why is this guy getting it? And they said, well, yeah, I need to communicate it the way they need to hear it, not the way I typically would communicate it. But that can take a long time.
I get the Mickey taken out of it, because one of my favourite phrases is you know that like, why don't you get that? So you keep people, if you walk around our building, you'll keep hearing people go and it's a dig at me.
Fantastic. So we'll look backwards. If we look forward, what does the future look like for you guys, and what are the main challenges you might face as you move forwards?
In terms of challenges, I'd say we're still bearing the scars of 2 horrendous years in business, and we went through quite a lot of 23rd of March 2020. We made our biggest ever investment in Claremon by investing in wide format flatbed, so close to £500,000. So on the 23rd of March, this lands on the factory floor, and everybody else is running for the hills. This is 2020, of course. And I remember looking at that thinking, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done? But you know, we were able to do floor graphics and some other stuff, and we gradually got through. So we're still bearing the scars of 2 difficult years. But I think we're on the right side of it now. We're on a path of growth. We're trying to attract a business development manager, because currently it's me and one of my colleagues that does that. But we really want to go out and get a go-getter, someone that can really do that job for us and help us drive it forward. And our ambitions are we want to double in size over the next 3 years, and I think we can do that with the capabilities that we've got. It's just going out there and getting it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Oh well, fantastic. And I wish you best of luck. And I'm sure. Like, as you say, we need to communicate in other people's point of view, but having a positive attitude is most likely to give us a positive outcome, in my humble opinion. A negative attitude,
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
I don't think there's any other way, as visionaries, we can be. You know, we may need to communicate to other people in different ways, but people need people with vision to actually paint that picture and set those goals. Otherwise, it typically won't happen. Certainly won't happen by itself, in my opinion.
No.
So I'm keen to know what you would say to anybody that was thinking of going to business right now.
Do it. And have said that recently, actually. My to-be son-in-law, really bright kid. Just I say kid, he's nearly 30 now, but really bright guy in a big organisation, frustrated by the hierarchy and wants to candidate, but doesn't really know what to do. And I said, James, just have a crack at it. You'll never. The risks will never be as low as they are now. When you've got a house, but you don't have a family. The won't get any lower than this as you go through life. And just have a crack at it. I think if you're bright, enthusiastic, people focused, you've got empathy and some emotional intelligence, I think I'll have a crack at it.
Brilliant, great advice. I'd suggest. And if you started again, what might you do differently, if anything?
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm joking. What is it that they say about advice? It's free to give away. No, do you know what? I think the thing that I said earlier, and you know, in the early days, maybe I wouldn't have been able to afford a coach, but I'd have sought out a mentor. I'd have sought out somebody that was willing to just give me a bit of time and a bit of guidance, and just as a bit of a sounding board. Because, like I keep saying, we think we can do it on our own because we do a good job for our customers. I knew a lot about print. I was all right at sales, and I'd had some success there. But actually, you know, in at the sharp end, and you've got to worry about cash flow and team and forward projections and budgeting and P&L and balance sheet. I mean, I still can't read a balance sheet. I have somebody describe it to me in great detail. But, so yeah, I would say that. I'd say, John, look for a mentor.
Brilliant. Again, I obviously have to support that advice, but great advice.
Yeah.
And finally, what would be the best advice you could give to an 18-year-old you if you could go back and do so?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. One of the easiest of times when I was that age. Do you know what? I think I'd say if I had a lot of difficulty, and it goes back to this personality typing thing. But if you were in their shoes, you'd behave just the same. And I think understanding that allows you to be empathetic. Brilliant. And I spent a lot of years from 18 to 28 where I wasn't empathetic. And people aren't bad people. They're just, sometimes they're a bit stupid, or, you know, they're a bit foolish. But if you'd have had their background and their history and their experiences, then that's exactly how you'd be. And I think that helps me helps me try to be empathetic. Not always successful at it.
I think that's, it's great advice. I often I take me back to something I haven't really taught a lot of people for a long time, is that it is the belief that everyone operates in the correct way given the resources they currently have, whether that's time, stress, knowledge. You know, with the resources they have, if we assume everyone is trying to operate in the right way given what they believe and the knowledge they have, then then we're all trying to go in, we're all trying to do the best for ourselves and the people around us. It's just how we do that is different for each individual person, given the background. I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Very wise words. Well, John, that seems to have flown by, but I have to say thank you so much. It's very interesting and entertaining too discussion, and I'm sure people will draw a lot of great ideas and knowledge from what we've discussed. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Chris. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks.